My name is Matt, and today I'm going to take you on a journey to explore the world of non-verbal communication, specifically gesture. Willingly or not, humans, when in co-presence, continuously inform one another about their intentions, interests, feelings, and ideas by means of visible bodily action. For example, it is through an orientation of the body, and especially through the orientation of the eyes, that information is provided about the direction and nature of a person's attention. People may refer to something by pointing at it, they may employ the hands in complex actions organized to show what something looks like, to indicate its shape or size, to suggest a form, object, or they may show through visible bodily actions that they are asking a question, proposing something, denying something, and many other things. Gestures are an integral part of language as much as our words, phrases, and sentences. Gesture and language are one system. Gestures can play a crucial role in the process of communication and interaction. They support full understanding of what is said. Gestures have long attracted interest because they seem to be a universal and natural form of expression. Although gestures seem to be something spontaneous and created through the whim of individual, at the same time they are subject to social convention. But how much are we actually aware of our gesture production? In order to find out, I asked some people for their opinion on gestures.
I guess it's something you use to try and emphasize what you're trying to communicate to someone. So it's like a physical aid to what you're communicating verbally.
Movement with the hands when you're speaking. I'm gesturing to you in conversation. It's used in many countries.
Well, for me, gesture is the way of expressing myself. It depends if I'm using my hands, like, well, actually right now, or my arms. It depends on my mood and what I'm feeling at the moment. If I'm really excited, I'm gonna use my hands a lot. If I'm quite sad and down to earth, I might not use them.
I would say that gesture is anything from saying hello or expressing the way that we feel, anything from moving your hands to your body language or eye contact.
I think gesture is a way of communicating, expressing yourself easier. You use your gestures for, like now I'm trying to think about something and I'm using my hands, so gestures to express what I want to say.
I guess it depends on the person. If you had someone who was deaf, it's a great way of communicating. Also, when you say something, you might put your hand on them, and it might there might be a reassurance. I guess it's adding to speech, if not being speech in itself, to someone who was perhaps deaf or hard of hearing.
Well, it's for the benefit of the listener. It's just again to emphasise what you're saying, and can be useful in certain environments, such as if it's too noisy or if someone doesn't fully understand your language. So it's like an aid, basically.
I think that the function of gesturing can be to help us describe what we're talking about if we can't think of the word. Or if somebody is hard at hearing, then we might use Makaton or English Sign Language. Or if we're talking to somebody that doesn't speak the same language as us, we may use our hands to point and try and almost play out what we're trying to describe using our hands and our body.
The function of gesture is to adapt the communication to certain people and to help them in understanding, especially if they're from another country or speak another language. To express how you feel about how you're about talking to someone else.
The function of gesture is expressing communication easier. As while you're trying to think of your thoughts, it helps you and supports that during the process.
I do gesture a lot, especially when I'm anxious. I will play with my fingers, and if I'm really busy, I will use my hands a lot and I'm trying to describe something.
I personally use gesture in speech a lot alongside my job role. That's very important for me to use that.
I think I do it automatically without thinking, actually. Yeah. Particularly when you're abroad, actually, and I don't understand the language. Yeah, because it's a useful aid, as I say, for communication. So I think I've started doing it automatically without even thinking sometimes.
I can't really say. I think I will need to ask someone else. Well, probably I do. I don't know.
Not really. In my job, I do, because I work with disabled people. So sometimes I'm required to. But if I'm talking to someone like you or a stranger, maybe not so much.
Well, I can tell you that I've observed my friends when they are very angry or stressed, they would use gestures a lot because it helps them probably to express their emotions. I can't really tell you if I use gestures more when I'm sad or happy, because I've never paid attention to it. But I'm guessing, yes. Definitely when I'm very excited, most likely I would use my hands and my arms.
I think so, yeah. Particularly if there's a language barrier, or if you're trying to communicate with someone that doesn't have sort of standard communication skills, whereby visual communication is a lot easier for them to grasp. Yeah, I'd say I use it more in those situations.
Yeah, the frequency of my gestures definitely changes depending on the conversation and who I'm speaking to. I gesture most at work. I support disabled adults and children. A lot of them use Makaton, so I gesture to help them understand what I'm trying to get across to them.
Definitely, if someone doesn't understand you or struggles with English or whatever language you're speaking in, I think you gesture more to help them understand what you're saying. I think you probably do that most, I'm not sure. Where there's lack of understanding and miscommunication, maybe?
Yes, I think the frequency does change depending on the person. You might show more care and compassion to someone who was older than you, for example, or disabled. And if I like someone, I might hug them. If I don't like them, just avoid them, not use many gestures. It's mainly a positive thing, a gesture.
More in a stressful situation rather than when I'm not stressed. Because when I stress, when I'm not stressed, I'll know exactly what I want to say. But when I'll be stressed and I will, depending on the time or the way I say things to people, I will gesture more. And I'm from a different country. My first language is Romanian, and I think I do gesture more in English than in Romanian. Romanian comes naturally. English, sometimes I have to think about the wording and the way I put the sentences together, so it makes sense for the people around me and expressing what I want to say during the situation or the language we're trying to communicate.
The respondents have clearly presented that they are well aware of the gestures and their function, but often produce them automatically without even thinking about it. After I had asked them for their opinion on gestures, I was still considering the nature of gesture production. Does the frequency of gestures really depend on the particular context? In what situations do we gesture most? I decided to conduct an experiment and see whether gesture production actually depends on the context of situation. I asked 3 English native speakers to volunteer in the study. The participants were not informed about the real aim of the experiment while I was collecting the data. It was in order to ensure the natural gesture production. The participants were asked to watch a 2.5-minute video clip of a fight scene from Sherlock Holmes. Having watched it twice, they were asked to describe it.
And there's, I think it's Irish music going on in the background, and then the main character's losing.
The first scene, we were at a fighting arena with two men. One was Robert Downey Jr. and the other was like a big burly man, and they were having a fight.
Two men were fighting and then slapping each other a bit and throwing some punches, and then one of them punches the other one and he...
In the second task, I asked for the instruction of how they would withdraw money from the cash machine and expected them to imagine themselves performing this particular action. The analysis has shown that speakers gestured significantly more whilst describing the process of money withdrawal, confirming the hypothesis that gesture production depends on a specific context. There is no denying that gestures are an integral part of language as much as are words, phrases and sentences. Gesture and language are one system. Gestures are and will still be an important subject for the discussions on the non-verbal communication.
Started like this, innocent kisses stolen from twilight. And as it progressed, to the second she left me,